go? Cool. All right, we got 20 minutes. Let's ride, folks. I'm not big on slides. I really don't like slide decks. We're going to breeze through these real quick just so I can give the high-level overhead. And I'm going to get right in the demo because, as an old boss of mine used to say, we like demos, not memos, and I tend to follow that with my work. Not a big introduction guy, but just so you know who I am. My name is Dunn. I work at Palo Alto Networks. I'm a security automation engineer. Basically, that just means that people complain about stuff taking too long, and I try to make it faster, is really what my role is. I'm fake redneck because I live in the country, but I do not drive an F-150, so I don't have any creds there. And I'm really big on optimizing and refactoring pipelines, so I like making things run fast. It's probably my favorite thing to do. So high-level overhead, what is this tool? GDIOCSpider, GDIOCSpider, call it whatever makes you comfortable. I don't really care. It basically rips through a G drive. It looks for IOCs. For those of you that may not be in the, actually, show of hands real quick. Who's in the D for IR space? Anybody in the house? A couple people, cool. For those of you that are not maybe IR inclined or don't know, IOCs are indicators of compromise. Essentially, if you think about like a crime scene investigation where physical crime scene, you have like fingerprints and blood and murder weapon and whatever, you know, people collect these things and then they try to build a case around it. These are the clues that we try to use to solve crime. In digital forensics, we do the same thing, but with things like IP addresses, hashes, things that indicate that someone's been tampering with something or that, you know, we have some connections between X, Y, and Z, right? And so my tool basically looks through a G drive, rips through it, extracts IOCs, tries to type them dynamically using a series of rules, a little bit of AI modification. And then it flags them and then basically prints them out into a report so that you can aggregate them and search through them further from there. I have my GitHub right here for the link, but I will have one at the end, so don't worry too much about that if you don't get it now. If you are going to get your screenshot, again, you can do it at the end or you can do it now. Everybody likes to do the world star thing where they go boom, and no issues there at all. Feel free, by the way, to take pictures of any of this if you find it edifying. Doesn't bug me one bit. I'd release the slide deck, but it's pretty bare bones. So again, we're going to get in the demos pretty quick. So why'd I do this? There's two primary use cases. One you can look at as more of an offensive case, one's more of a defensive case. We have some DFIR folks that have G drives full of reports, like hundreds and hundreds of reports. And maybe you're like, hey, I don't really remember where I saw this IP last time and my note taking is not great. I'd like to find it again. You can run the tool across your entire library of reports and find it again. That's a really good use case is, hey, where did I find this? The other case is if you believe a G drive has been tampered with or a suspect or somebody's been messing around with there, maybe there's files that you didn't think about or there's file hashes, something like that. You can run it across that and kind of do an analysis and see if something's been tampered with. Here's the general flowchart of how this thing works. Really, all it does is connect to a G drive, pull it down, rip through it, look over the lines, try to dynamically parse IOCs out of the raw text, and then output it to a terminal, and then output it to a spreadsheet for analysis. Pretty simple stuff. I'm going to go over some of the options that you have with this tool before I get in the demo, just so you know kind of what the configurability is here. One of my goals in building this was that it's heavily configurable, so whatever your use case is, you can modify it without having to do code changes. Obviously, feel free to modify it, but I wanted to make as much built-in config, because when I use people's tools, I appreciate if they have a lot of options for me ahead of time that I didn't really think about, right? So, in terms of the G drive connection itself, right now we only support two different kinds. We have the OAuth connection and then we have the service account connection. So some of you might be like, hey, I just want to use this for my personal G drive, the one that I have on my Google account. OAuth, great, works like a normal flow. Some of you are like, hey, I have a production grade system, I have a service account already set up, I have credentials. You can use that too. We have these variables at the bottom we support. You just plug those suckers into the config file, it'll run. In terms of the IOC extraction step, we have basically a bunch of filter criteria. So, hey, I only want you to look at these files. I only want you to look at these folders. Do not look at these folders. Do not look at these files. The permitted delimiters to check against is the only real weird one. That's basically how do we want to splice these lines up? Do we want to use new lines? Do we want to use semicolons? Do we want to use commas? Do we want to use all of them? Again, you have the flexibility to do that depending on how long you want your runtime to be. These are the current text types, or file types, excuse me. We support out of the box, so these are the ones I built out. If you want to add more, please submit a PR because I'm lazy and I don't want to do it. So feel free to PR it. In terms of the IOC typing, so that was the IOC file types, the file types we pull down and we search through. In terms of the actual IOCs themselves, We have a strict mode and a lossy mode. The strict mode basically forces the regex to be a full match, and then the lossy mode will give you a lot more results, which can be garbage, but it'll get everything. There's trade-offs to each, obviously speed being the biggest one. And we also have exclusion lists. Maybe you don't care about emails or passwords or IPs or whatever. You can make a whole list of things you want to exclude. And then also, if you don't want to look in certain files, maybe you have exactly one file that is just like 20 gigs and it's useless and you don't care. You don't want to take the time to spend the cycles to do that. So you can exclude that in the keyword file path to use. Defanging, for those of you that aren't familiar, just basically means when we take something like a website and we wrap it in brackets or something to that effect so nobody accidentally clicks on it and downloads malware to their system. You can set that to be true or false depending on your use case. In my day job, I actually have use cases for both, so this is really important to me because sometimes we need it fanged, sometimes we don't need it fanged. So these are all the ones we support off the box. Again, if you want to add more, please PR it because I'm lazy. So the output will be spit out to console. If you're more of a CLI person or you want to automate it in terms of the command line, you can do that, and you can also write bash scripting around it. Or if you prefer to look at it from the spreadsheet perspective, it'll output it to a CSV. I like to look at mine in GDrive and just pull it up and upload it, and that works for me. Here's a sample, but again, we'll run a demo of what it looks like, and then here's what it looks like in a spreadsheet. But again, we're going to do the demo, so we'll look at it. In terms of what I would like to see this tool eventually, if I get more time, I built this in a couple weeks, and then I ran out of time and got the privilege to present it around this year, which is really cool, and got to talk to a lot of cool folks about it. I would like to automate this in some sort of cloud pipeline. I do a lot with Apache Beam and Dataflow nowadays, so there's a really, really strong use case for this for very, very big G drives. I've actually only tested this on moderately sized ones, nothing huge yet. So I'm assuming that type of workflow would be really effective. I'd also like to support more file types and IOC types, but like I said, I'm really lazy. And yeah, edge cases, I've tested a decent number, but they're edge cases. You never know what you're going to hit next. And also, I would like to increase the regex performance of what I built. So demo, again, like I said, we blasted through that in 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes for demo. Let's go. So real quick, if I may, the tool is pretty simple to install. The instructions are actually on the GitHub for how to run through and rip it. You can install it as a pip wheel. Totally okay. Before we actually get into, before we get into the actual run itself, I'd like to show you what that config file looks like. So for the sake of this demo, can everybody in the back see this? Is this okay? You want me to make it bigger? Good. A little bit bigger? All right, let's make it bigger. How's that? Better? Cool. Sick. I don't have any IOC search exclusions. I want to get everything. We're going to run it in strict mode because I don't want a lot of garbage for the sake of this demo. We're checking at some really common delimiters, new lines, carriage returns, commas, pipes, etc. These are the MIME types we're scanning, so CSVs, text files, PDFs, JSONs, etc. These are all the ones that come built in. I actually am using a burner account that I uploaded a lot of my old college material to, so all these things are basically old college files, and I'm like, we don't need to be looking at that for IOCs. If there's IOCs in my college stuff, we don't want to know about it. And then keyword file pass, I actually had this configured for one of my old setups. I don't actually have a password file because I just got this Mac like 3 days ago, so normally we would do some password searching here, but I actually didn't upload that guy to this, sorry, but it does work because I've tested it. Knock on wood. Defang before export is set to true again. I click on way too much stuff, and for the sake of this demo, we're going to do the OAuth flow because again, I just am using a small personal demo account. So that's real quick, just what the config looks like. Let's get to the demo. So the tool itself is pretty simple to run. There's that config file, and then I'm going to make this bigger too so y'all can see. There we go. I don't want to block too much of it off though. How are we looking in the back, folks? Still okay with this? Cool. All right, let me full screen that. So pretty simple runtime. If you don't need a lot of additional, again, most of the configuration is done in config.json. We have two parameters, config file, which is what I just showed you, and we have the output file. That you can name it whatever you want. We're calling it indicator data.json or .csv for the sake of this guy. We're going to run it real quick, let it rip, and hopefully the demo gods are kind, and it looks like they are today. That's great. So quick level overview, we're gonna go over the console output and then I'll upload this to GDrive real quick and we'll take a look at what it looks like in a spreadsheet. First thing it'll do is it'll, again, I put a lot of features in my tools that I personally run into. So one of the things I always run into for configs is if they don't explicitly tell me that I'm leaving something out, I'll totally forget and then spend 2 hours debugging why it's leaving it out. So I write a line right off the rip that says, hey dude, don't look at this, so that you don't act like, why am I not getting this data? It also will categorize everything that we're looking at. So this is giving me a summary and it said, hey, this is what we found in your root level directory. We see all these files. It will do it recursively, but I've restricted it for the sake of this demo to just the root. And so it says, hey, we found these files. And then what it'll do is it'll actually iterate over every single file in that list and it'll print out the IOC that we find, the type of that IOC, and the value. And as you notice, I have defang set to true, so the IP addresses are defanged as well as the emails and our URLs we have here as well. At the bottom of each block, it'll upload the total IOC count by type, and then it'll tell you it deleted it. The reason that we do this by download as opposed to streaming, even though some people might be concerned about security, if you have more of a security restriction, not the best use case here. But in terms of like data processing, having done this for a number of years, data processing while streaming live down from a source is miserable. It's not efficient, it's terrible, and honestly, you get a lot more corrupted data that way. It's just better to download the file if you can, rip through it, and then handle it. Also, this is a better use case if you do have to like put it into a pipeline, because it'll run faster that way anyway. So anyway, I'm not going to go through and belabor all these guys, but I will show you that at the end it just says done, and we've exported it here. If we run a quick ls, you can see we do in fact have this file. So let's see, we got 5 minutes. Good, great timing. So what we're going to do real quick, let's not expose any work secrets. That would be super fun, wouldn't it? This is my work laptop. Do we have any Palo Alto competitors in the house? CrowdStrike, Zscaler, anybody? Dag, no, you wouldn't tell me anyway, would you? Yeah. That would have been fun though, wouldn't it? Okay, so we'll go in here real quick, and like I said, I'll just upload this to, you don't have to upload this to GDrive, but I'm lazy and this is how I like to look at things. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna open this up in G Sheets real quick. I'm gonna leave 5 minutes for questions, so I'm just gonna show this off real quick. Okay, so what do we got here? This shows, this is what the output data looks like. We got the file path, we got the file type, we got the file ID. For those of you that do any sort of GDrive automation, you know how important file IDs are, because that's how we actually read files that we're automating. And so as you can see, we have the full summation list of everything we got here, where the files that came from. Let me make this a little bit bigger too for y'all in the back. Boom. That should be good. Okay. And one of the first things I like to do when I'm running this demo is I'll just go ahead and go here and I will, oh, did I make it so big I can't see? Oh, there we go. All right, we're good. Nope, other way. A to Z is hard, Z to A. Oh, and I didn't freeze that column. Sorry, let me do this real quick. View, freeze. If you didn't know that feature, I read a lot of spreadsheets. That thing is super important. Okay. First thing we want to do is just check to see if we have any repeats. We'll flip it both ways. Looks like we don't got to worry about that right now. Cool. And then we notice right here, this says, hey, we got this IP and it's in delete me GDocs. So if we pop back over here real quick to this and we look in delete me GDocs, here's an incident report that I just used AI to generate. And if we notice this IP address right here, 203. Blah, 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 that guy is the exact same one that is identified in this report. So use case 1 and 2 here, I mean, this isn't really the malicious use case, this is more of the GDrive analysis. Another one for maybe the different use cases, we can look at, let's see, yeah, like maybe they had a CSV, right? So if we look at deleteme.csv, and we'll pull that up, we don't gotta make it big, but those IPs are actually stored in part of the spreadsheet. So like 192.168.1.100, 192.168, oh, where are you at? I lost it already. There we go, thank you. It's right there. So just a really fast way to automate some of your GDrive searching for IOCs. And again, both those use cases, whether you're trying to look at maybe looking for specific indicators within a adversarial environment, or if you're just trying to scan through your existing system and try to recall some of the stuff you already logged somewhere else. Those are the two big use cases. That's the tool. I'll flip real quick back to the slide deck. My name is Noah Dunn. Thank you for coming to this super fast talk. This is my LinkedIn. That's the best way to hit me up. And there is the GitHub link. So if you want to take a picture of the slide or not, that'll give you the GitHub for if you want to try this tool out. If you do use my tool and you want to, even if you just play around with it, run it, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Let me know if you're like, hey man, this thing's trash. I also want to hear that too. So feel free to reach out and be like, hey, nice try, but this wasn't it. So.
Where are the? You mentioned that you wanted to improve IOCs. Where are they in the?
Oh yeah, sure. So on the GitHub, oh not that one. Sorry. Cool. So inside of the GDIOCSpider repo, let me make this big for the folks in the back. There is a file called indicators. I got to make sure that yeah, there we go. So essentially from IOC patterns, this is the one that actually pulls it in. And let me pop over there. Actually, that'll be better. Inside of IOC patterns, this is the source for all the regexes that we're dealing with for this guy. So the extraction, I said there's a small AI piece to this. In my day job, I do a lot of IOC type work. And we've experimented pretty significantly with AI identification versus the traditional pipeline strict identification. And the answer that we've come to, which might not be right, but it works for our use cases, is that for 95% of the IOC identification, you want it to be the traditional pipelining route. But if something looks really, really warped or wrong or doesn't really fit into a box, AI is actually pretty decent at identifying those things. And also, if you look at like a performance speed perspective, you don't want AI to be running through, especially if you're dealing with 10 terabytes, 20 terabytes of data, trying to identify that much stuff. Use a pipeline to handle the bulk of your work, and then use the AI for the little bit left over. So we have regexes for all the standard ones. The AI in this tool actually comes in for the extraction and the actual file downloading piece, like PDFs, for example. We use the MU PDF package, which dynamically can actually scan through pictures and some of the other like metadata that doesn't come across in a traditional text format, and pulls that as raw text so that we can analyze that. But yeah, if you wanted to add more, this is the area we would put it in. You could throw any regex in here and identify it and have your custom use case, and it would rip through it. Yep. Any other questions from anybody? And thanks for coming to really talk. Yes, please.
For the filing solutions, is that a regex kind of query against the file path, or is that like a static set?
Oh, great question. So for the sake of, that would be a good feature to add, 100%. For the sake of this though, it is folder and file. So if you tell it, don't look at this file path, it won't recursively search for that and anything below it. But in terms of like actual pure file types, it will just take the raw file. So if you say, please block this path, it will block that specific file. If you say, please block name.txt, anything in the G drive that is name.txt, it will not look at. So you can have both those options. There's no loose regex system where you can go star.txt or name_star. Good feature to add for sure. Again, I'm lazy, but that's a great feature request for sure.
Does it do, as a G Suite administrator, can I scan multiple G drives, or can I scan, or is it only able to scan my G drive?
So if you configure a service account and you give it the correct credentials to be able to do that, you should be able to configure it to hit multiple from the service account perspective. If you're doing it from OAuth, I don't know the answer to that because I've never been a maintainer of that. So I don't know the answer to that part of the question. But if you're using service account, you should for sure be able to do that. That's a great question.
When scanning for those IOCs, is it checking for base 64 or just the strict?
Like does it attempt to validate? Is it base 64?
Encodings as well, or is it just?
So for the sake of this guy, I don't even know. I don't think I have base 64 as a pattern. It will do the hashes, and the hashes are very trivial. So they're just character numerics for those guys. But that would be a good thing to add, for sure. For sure.
So in a workspace, I'm not an administrator, but I'm in a Google Workspace place. You know, there's the files I own, and then there's files that I can access that other
Yeah.
people. Will it scan files I can access or files I own?
Great question. So in my experience, it is hit or miss based on the configuration. You should be able to enable it based on the configuration to hit all the ones that you have access to. It'll first look at the config for the ones that you own, right? But I believe you should be able to. Also, this is a really interesting tidbit for any of you that do any G Drive stuff whatsoever. I don't know if you know this. By default, the Google API will pull in your trash can to everything, and it makes your life a living nightmare if you don't explicitly declare it. I spent like 3 days and I lost my mind to that. It will even touch your trash can. So just keep that in mind whenever you do this for limiting scope. That may be a use case too. Like for example, maybe you don't want to see those files. You would want to make sure those are in the exclusions. If you do, you would want to explicitly say, hey, can you try to hit this? But I think that's in the same line with him. If you're operating under that perspective, I think it should still be able to hit it. But I have not been able to fully test that. Great question, though. Yeah, great question. Anybody? Oh.
So you've been running this for a while now?
The tool itself, I've only basically run on my dev environments. I've been waiting for somebody to ping me and be like, hey, this blew up my whole organization. Like, I've been waiting for that call. But haven't had that one yet, but yeah.
Okay, so
But
you don't know like which file types or locations are popping up as more urgent to check out or whatever?
no, I don't have like a concrete,
This
like,
guy likes this.
yeah, exactly. See, that would be a great thing. If any of you do find out that information, like, hey, this was really good for this, but not good for that, again, hit me up on LinkedIn, please. That would be super helpful. I'd really appreciate that. I think I am at my time, and I do not want to take up. So thank you. Also, I will be probably out in the lobby if anybody has any additional questions. My grandma is also here with me today, and she'll be out in the lobby for additional questions. So if you have to ask my grandma, she'll be here. So